What's up, YouTube? Chris here. This is a quick thoughts update video for today, the 7th day of August, after I posted a video that I filmed last week about a lot of the injuries in the NFL, about the reason why I didn't have internet for a while, and the reasoning and some of my thoughts on the whole Johnny Manziel situation. Today, a lot more to discuss in these thoughts. More injuries happened yesterday. At this rate, for fantasy owners, it's going to be a really, really long, difficult season. If it's just me, but my spots on my glasses. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Live video, folks. Couldn't see how these were crap. Hey, that's better. Anyway, excuse me. But more injuries happened yesterday to some big-name players. Again, it's going to affect our fantasy seasons. I posted a Facebook status. It's like, at this point, who's going to be left standing when the games start for real? So not just preseason. So we still know what's going to happen with the preseason. So a lot. We'll talk about those guys. We'll talk about the Riley Cooper situation. He's back with the team practicing. I really hadn't shared my thoughts on that yet. I wanted to share my thoughts on that with you guys. And we're learning more details, unfortunately, and not very good ones, about Johnny Manziel. He's got himself in more hot water with this situation with the autograph thing, and definitely not looking very promising for him. Of course, depending on what the NCAA finds out and rules, but I'll share my thoughts on that as well. First, let's talk about the injuries that really affected our fantasy outlooks yesterday. The big one being Danario Alexander of the San Diego Chargers. He was expected to have a big-time breakout year this year because of how he performed last year, filling in for some other injured receivers, guys like Vincent Brown and Malcolm Floyd, and of course Antonio Gates, who are now going to benefit more, though, now from Alexander being out. He tore his ACL in practice yesterday, and we're hearing more often, or training camp, I should say, and we're hearing more often than not players that are just completely going down to torn ACLs. It's happening more often than not. It's happening different practices, happening a lot at Eagles camp as well, which I'll talk about also. But happened yesterday to Alexander. So now the player that's probably going to mostly benefit, I think, from this in terms of fantasy is Vincent Brown. He's the veteran. He's, granted, he hasn't had exactly a great season in the past, but he wasn't really the main guy, and he has also had a history of injuries, had a broken ankle last year, so he missed a lot of time, but I think he's going to benefit a lot. Malcolm Floyd will certainly, I think, get more looks as well. So these are guys, obviously, they're still they're not really, San Diego's a tough team to figure out in terms of offense. We know Phillip Rivers is not exactly elite talent. He's kind of in that second, third tier with guys. But we don't know really what kind of team they're going to be this year on the offensive side. So certainly, though, Vincent Brown and Malcolm Floyd, I think, are guys you could possibly target. Maybe if you're still doing your drafts, you can probably target these guys in the later rounds of your drafts. It's probably number 3, number 4 receivers, especially Brown. Brown, I think, is a real sleeper. Number 3, number 4 guy. Malcolm Floyd, maybe a 4 or 5 guy. Maybe if you're really looking for a dark horse, you look at Keenan Allen, who is a rookie there, and he's going to try to start getting more involved in things. So definitely some guys to look into there in San Diego with this situation, but tough break for Danario Alexander and his fantasy owners who are expecting a big-time season from the player. But, really, I guess in some ways, you never want to say anything is expected, but it kind of was considering Alexander's injury history. He had also had knee issues before, other injury issues before, so really this wasn't a big surprise, but it only compounded the fact that there have been a lot of injuries so far in training camps this season. So definitely a big thing there, and obviously now if you had Alexander on your roster, you can feel free to drop it and find another viable receiver in the wire. In my league, I know there's a lot of sleeper guys out there on the wire that are still out there. Guys like Kendall Wright, Alshon Jeffrey, Aaron Dobson from New England, who I really like. I think could have a breakout year potentially. The rookie out of Marshall. So just some guys. It depends on, of course, who's in your league and who's on your waivers. But obviously, if you want to stick with San Diego, definitely think Vincent Brown will be the guy you want to bank on for Danario Alexander. Maybe you might like Malcolm Floyd better. It just depends on your take. But I think Vincent Brown definitely be the big beneficial. And obviously, Antonio Gates is going to be the best beneficiary now. For those of you that drafted Antonio Gates as your tight end, now you're looking at potentially even more targets because of the fact that Alexander is out. So as long as Gates stays healthy, he's going to be definitely a #1 tight end this year. So that's the impact of Alexander's injury. And speaking of, again, injuries, like I've mentioned, apparently this year where ACLs go to die, that's a bad way of putting it, but that's really what's happening, is Philadelphia. Poor Chip Kelly. He's bringing this fast-paced system to Philadelphia, this fast-paced style of offense, gung-ho, going at it, quarterback competition between Michael Vick and Nick Foles. Vick's expected to win the job, but they're named co-starters right now. But early in camp, he loses Jeremy Maclin. There's the whole situation with Riley Cooper. Now, there was a lineman that got hurt. Now, yesterday, Arrellious Benn, who was in contention for that second starting position, opposite Deshaun Jackson, also now is lost for the year with a torn ACL. What is in the water in Philadelphia? What is, I understand if it's like once or maybe even twice, but 3 times to 3 guys? Are you kidding me? Can someone check the turf out there in Philadelphia? I mean, this is getting really kind of ridiculous at this point. It's kind of what happened with Purdue a couple years ago when all these players were just going down to the same exact injury. What is going on? Eagles fans, I'm sure, are some in uproar on message boards saying, what the heck is going on with our skill players going down to injury like this? But really, there's nothing you can really do about it but just next guy up and plug in the next guy. But for fantasy purposes, are these guys really then going to be more relevant? Now that Ben is gone, Jason Avant is still in the mix to step in. Now Riley Cooper is still in the discussion. He just rejoined the team yesterday, but again, it's going to take some time, I think, with him to see if he gets back in the swing of things after this whole situation happened with him. So, and then really everyone behind them is really kind of just like a rookie or underdeveloped guys. So Philadelphia's situation right now is really a mess in terms of the receiving core, with now 2 guys going down to the same injury. So that's maybe a situation you kind of want to avoid unless one of those guys really steps up and grabs a strong hold on the #2 starting position. Obviously, if you drafted Deshaun Jackson, you're looking like a star right now because you're going to have a guy that's going to obviously be expected to be a producer every single week. I mean, now granted that might also mean that guys are going to focus more in on him. The defense is going to zone in on him, maybe put double coverage on him like a Calvin Johnson. But it also means that he's going to get a share of opportunities. Deshaun Jackson is a ball hawk. He's going to be wanting that ball in his hands. So, but again, we're going to take a wait and see approach. Maybe just avoid it altogether. Again, there's great sleepers out there on the wire, I'm sure. And there's great sleepers in late rounds of drafts you can get for a #3, #4, #5 guy for your team. So just kind of take a wait and see on that. See what plays out in Philadelphia. It's a messy situation right now. And I feel so bad for Chip Kelly because, he leaves a great, cushy job at Oregon, where the team's contending for Pac-12 titles, maybe national titles, good bowl games year after year. Walked into the situation in Philadelphia where it's going to be exciting, the fast-paced this thing's going to happen, and all of a sudden now all this is happening to him. So it's definitely taking its toll, I'm sure, at least in some regard. If he is, he's not showing it, but I feel kind of bad that he walks right into this right away. But again, got to make do with what you have, and really that's really the motto of the way it's going to be in Philadelphia right now, is making do with what they have and finding someone to plug into that #2 position outside Deshaun Jackson. Another situation I really didn't get a chance to address when it happened is in Seattle with the injury regarding Percy Harvin. Obviously, now I mentioned in my post-draft preview show that I was a little concerned about Harvin because of his past migraine history and some of his previous injuries. And lo and behold, it happens to him this year. He suffered a torn labrum in his hip. and he later found out that it did need to require surgery, so he will miss. Now, he's not out for the season. I want to make that clear. He's not out for the year, at least not officially. The Seahawks are hoping that he can return at least in November, possibly by week 13 of the season, is their shooting target date. Certainly he won't be the same player, but we'll have to kind of wait and see how his recovery and rehab goes from that. See what kind of fantasy relevance he's going to make in those final few weeks of your season if he plays. But the guys then, obviously the two guys that I think then are going to benefit most from the situation with Percy Harvin being out, obviously, are Sidney Rice and Golden Tate. Obviously, these two guys now, if you drafted these guys, if you already had your draft like I did, and if you drafted these guys in your later rounds to be like more like number 4, number 3 receivers, they're now definitely bumped up to at least maybe low number 2, high number 3 guys, because they're going to get the bulk of the passes thrown from Russell Wilson. So now, a lot of media outlets are saying that Golden Tate is going to be the big beneficiary of this because Sidney Rice recently had a procedure done in his knee, and he's had a lot of history of knee injuries. And I'm aware of that. I drafted Sidney Rice to be my number 4 wide receiver. I knew about his background. I knew about his past. I knew about his history. I was really drafting him, though, mostly for depth purposes because I had 3 pretty solid wide receivers in Julio Jones, Danny Amendola, and Denarius Moore. I had those guys kind of locked in as my starters, so at that point in the draft, I was really looking for depth at wide receiver. And now that this situation happened, not that you don't want players above these players getting hurt, you don't want that, but you take advantage of the opportunity. And now Sidney Rice, I think, has a golden opportunity, no pun intended, to get a lot of targets right away. But again, now the thing about the knee procedure, and this concerned a lot of people freaked out over this. He was in Switzerland for a time, getting procedure on this knee. It was only preventative. There was nothing actually found in there. It was only a preventative procedure to prevent any further damage from happening. He's not expected to miss any preseason time. He's back in camp with the team. So he's expected to play in the preseason. So I still think Sidney Rice is going to be now going to benefit very, very much from Percy Harvin being out. I still think he's going to be a solid. Now I think you can draft him with a number 3 as being a number 3 guy for sure. Golden Tate definitely could even fall in that same number 3, number 4 range for you because these guys are going to benefit a lot from Percy Harvin being out of the mix. So again, these two guys, and obviously Marshawn Lynch also gets a big uptick because he'll be also involved in sharing passing downs out of the backfield, like in short yardage situations. I drafted Marshawn Lynch first round. I think he's going to be a big-time talent again in Seattle this year. So a lot of ramifications from Harvin's injury, but certainly big things I think in store then for Sidney Rice, provided he stays healthy, Golden Tate, and Marshawn Lynch as well. And, of course, Russell Wilson is going to have another big-time year for you. So those are some of the guys that I just wanted to kind of talk about their injuries and what happened with them this week or in the previous weeks and that kind of thing and what it means for their fantasy seasons. But it just kind of goes into the question. I mean, I can't – I don't know if you guys can, but I can't personally recall a training camp where we saw so many injuries, most of them being season-ending, early on in the season. I can't recall a time where it's just one guy after the other. It's like dropping like flies, just down, fly swatter, slap Percy Harvin, you're down, slap Arrellious Benn, you're down, slap Jeremy Maclin, you're down, slap Brian Bulaga, the Packers, you're down. All mostly the same injury, and it's just stunning to me. What is up with this? It really asks the question, who's going to be left? Who should we all be biting our nails, worried about who's going to go down next? I mean, yeah, injuries are part of the game, but when it happens at this kind of clip, at this kind of level, I mean, it really it's kind of shocking, to be quite honest with you. And I've never seen that happening that often in a season. You realize now that San Diego's receiving core is going to be thin. Seattle's is going to be thin, but certainly boosted. Green Bay's offensive line. Excuse me. Green Bay's offensive line. I have a former college friend of mine who was a huge diehard Packer fan, and she and I were talking last night and about Bulaga's injury and him going down and how it's going to really affect that Packers offensive line. Aaron Rodgers' pass protection is going to completely drop a little bit because the fact is Bulaga is a stalwart on that line, and with him now out for the year with a torn ACL. Jordy Nelson's going to miss the preseason with a knee issue. Randall Cobb is currently out of camp. There's a lot of guys just suffering these injuries, and it's definitely making things frustrating for fantasy owners. Julio Jones isn't going to play in the preseason opener with tight hamstrings. That concerns me because I drafted Julio second round. So I'm sure that there are fantasy owners out there who are affected by these injuries and have to completely go to the waiver wire and research guys saying, okay, who can I fill in and who's their backup and da-da-da-da-da. It's like a fantasy freakout. That's what it is, a fantasy freakout. We're all fantasy freakout right now because of all these injuries. It's fantasy freakout 2013. It's completely and utterly nuts right now because we're glued to our televisions. What's gonna happen with these guys? What's gonna happen? Is my guy gonna get hurt next? It's like the Home Alone moment. What's gonna happen? Who's gonna go down next? What are the ramifications gonna be? When's my fantasy alert gonna come in? When's the waiver wire gonna be up with new people? We're freaking out because it's the same injury. Every day we're hearing somebody torn ACL out for the year. Almost everybody, a new day. It's like that Four Tops song. It's the same old song, same song, different day. It is frustrating. It's almost like the hair pullers. It makes you want to just, it is just completely frustrating. But again, it's like every team. We got to make do with what we have. Obviously, is our fantasy roster going to take a hit if we lose somebody? Absolutely it does. You better believe that it does. Because we drafted these guys to be breakout star players for us, and now they're done even before the regular season starts. So what we have to do is just find the next guy. When the next guy's going to fill in, find a solid waiver guy, find a sleeper guy to plug in for these guys. So that's really all you can do. You can only hope to find the right guy and hope for the best. That's really all you can do. You can have your freak out moment. Maybe chuck things at your TV, but nothing hard. Don't break your TV. But punch a pillow, whatever. Just have these freak out moments. I lost that guy. But I lost Danario Alexander. I lost Jeremy Maclin. I lost Percy Harvin. What? See again, and I mentioned in my last video or the video before that, the owner that lost Jeremy Maclin and Dennis Pitta in the same day. What if I feel bad for this owner, the owner that lost Danario Alexander, Jeremy Maclin, Percy Harvin, and Dennis Pitta? If you lose all four on that roster, I wouldn't have any hair left because that would just royally suck. That's like the injury royal flush. That's just your season just gone. So what do you guys think? What have you guys ever seen an opener to a season like this where so many guys are going down with the same injury? Let me know about it. Let me share your thoughts. Let me because I personally cannot recall a season that has ever been like this where guys are going down in training camp with the same injury. And what could the reasoning be behind it? Is it just random circumstance? Is it something else that's happening? What could be the reason? If there's any reason behind this, what could it be? Let me guys know, because I think we're all just kind of in the same boat when it comes to just being shocked by all the injuries that are happening, causing us to freak out. All right, so that's enough of that. Before I freak out too much and mess up the camera or something, just whatever. So moving on, two more things I want to talk about in this video. I wanted to share my thoughts on the whole Riley Cooper fiasco. Again, something else that's off the field, but certainly has made a lot of big news headlines. If you guys didn't know, if you don't know, we probably live under a rock. If you weren't aware, there was a couple weeks ago when training camp actually kind of started. A video was posted by the website crossingbroad.com, and they put up a video of Eagles receiver Riley Cooper who at the time of the video being put up was competing for the #2 starting job because Jerry Maclin had already been ruled out for the year. So he was in the mix to get his #2 starting spot. A video was put up of him at a Kenny Chesney concert, and he used a very derogatory, hurtful, sensitive racial slur. He was confronting a security guard. Apparently, the details are that the security guard would not let him go backstage. And I believe this was at Lincoln Financial Field. I believe this was in Philadelphia. So I believe that that's where this was. And he basically said, "I'm going to jump the fence and fight every fill in the blank here." Now, when I first saw the video, obviously, I was, like everyone else, as you should be, I was taken aback. I could not believe what could have preempted him to say such a word, to want to do such a thing to somebody. Now, in the shot, you can't see the security guard that he's talking to. The camera is only fixed on Cooper's face and some of the people in the background. You can't see the security guard he's fighting with or having the confrontation with, per se. But for him to say that, I was just so bitterly angered by that in this society we're still having these issues, with Paula Dean and her middle of the N-word, and now this, and it's like the injuries, all of this is all of a sudden coming out of the woodwork and just happening at a completely crazy clip, and it's like, what is going on? What is wrong with you people? Why are you saying these things? And I also had to think, well, if he wasn't preempted by anybody, maybe he was preempted by the guy, but if whether he was sober or not, the alcohol in this situation should not be an excuse, okay? I'm just going to throw that out there right away. Yes, he was drunk. You're at a concert, you're having a good time with your friends, your groupies, whoever, your posse, your crew, your clique, etc., etc. But that does not give you an excuse to use that kind of language and use that wording. It doesn't. It honestly doesn't. It's people say that sometimes that when you're drunk, your true colors come out, and potentially that's possibly what could have happened there. Now, this is the first instance I think that we've seen, certainly that I've seen, of Riley Cooper being in this vein, saying this word, using this language, and he even said that it was the first time that he had done that, which I have to take at face value because we haven't seen any other evidence of him using any other racial terms. Granted, we don't know whether or not that happened anywhere else. There's no evidence of it. This is the only proof in the pudding that we have seen of him using a racial term. So obviously, I immediately thought that certainly some discipline should be done. In the end, though, the only real thing that happened was that he got a fine. Now, Cooper did say that it was a very substantial fine. They never disclosed how much. I would have to think it would be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially, maybe even the tens of thousands. If we were talking substantial, then it'd have to be a huge number. And he was briefly excused from team activities for a few days to go into a counseling program, which I think definitely will be helpful for him. And I was also, how can I put this? The team was very divided, and the media was very divided, because a lot of the media also said he should at least be suspended for a time, and some were even saying, I couldn't believe this, some were even saying to ban him from the league, kick him off the team, ban him from the league. I think that was a little extreme. Because again, from what we know, from what we have, from what we understand, this is the first time that we've seen him say anything or use this word or be in this behavior. This is his first offense. This is the first time we see anything. Now, we know that Roger Goodell has a strong player conduct policy in place, and he rules with an iron fist. We all know that. But again, you have to consider that the team took care of it. The team came out and said, we don't condone this. We don't agree with this. Riley's apologized to the media. He's apologized to the team. He's been sincere in that apology, and we accept that. We don't condone his behavior or his words, but we accept that but we forgive him, and we're going to move on from this. They took care of it. The Eagles took care of it in-house. They did not let anyone else resolve this situation for them, and that, I think, is smart. I think that they were able to do that. That they sat Riley down, They all did. Oh, the coach, Chip Kelly, did. Owner Jeffrey Lurie did. Everybody involved in the organization sat Riley down and said, hey, we've seen this. This isn't good. You got to make up for this. And you got to be sincere in your apology. Say, hey, what I did was wrong. I admit it. I said a terrible thing. I'm not sure why I said it, but I said it. I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to recover from it. I'm going to be away from the team for a while to get through counseling, and now he's back with the team. So I was also glad to see Michael Vick come out and say that he came to us as a man. He apologized as a man, and we forgive him, and I forgive him, and as a team, we forgive him. Because Michael Vick, this is a guy, for Michael Vick to say that, a guy that had probably one of the worst periods of his life and career when he was arrested for the dogfighting thing and went through that time in his life, for him to come out and say that, hey, he made a mistake, it happened, we forgive him for it, and as a team and as a man, I forgave him. For Michael Vick to say that about Riley Cooper, good job, Michael Vick. That's awesome. I think that for someone who had been through an awful time in his life and now and has looked past his mistakes and has moved on, I think that can only mean good things for Riley Cooper going forward. So again, I'm just going to say, do I condone that behavior? Absolutely not. But do I like the way that the Eagles took care of it in-house? And do I like the way that Riley Cooper took care of it moving forward? And do I like the way that he's moving forward? Absolutely. I think that he's definitely going to learn from this. He's not going to make, hopefully, fingers crossed, fingers, toes, everything. He's not going to make that same mistake again. And he's going to realize what he needs to do to distance himself from that behavior, from that word. And he also did say, and I'm also glad he did this because there was an article that came out in Yahoo Sports that said, well, Riley Cooper can forgive, to be forgiving to the media, to the team, to the owner, to the coach, whatever. He needs to personally forgive that security guard that he offended on that night. Well, Riley Cooper later did say that he was going to make an effort to personally find that security guard and forgive him. I commend Riley Cooper for that as well, because he should. The guy was just doing his job that night. Like everybody else, he was just manning security, doing his job, and making sure that no one got out of line or got out of hand. It's a concert. It's a concert. There's going to be drunk people. There's going to be wild partying times. There's going to be hoopla and merriment going on because it's a concert. It's Kenny Chesney. It's one of the biggest artists in all of country music or artists in the music world, period. Okay? It's going to be a good time. There's going to be some people, not everybody, there's going to be some people that are out of line. So that's what the security guard's job is for. And he apparently thought that Riley Cooper was getting too out of hand. I don't know if the guard knew who he was talking to. If he was talking to a member of the Philadelphia Eagles, we don't know that. We haven't heard. What's interesting is we haven't heard the security guard's take on all of this. We have not heard his perspective on all of this. At least I haven't seen it yet. I would love to hear his perspective on what he saw, what he thought when all this was going down. So, but I'm glad that Riley Cooper's finally said, hey, I'm going to try to find this guy. I want to make it up to him. I want to forgive him too and his family as well. So good on you, Riley Cooper. I really hope that he does learn from this experience, that he does move on. And who knows, if he ends up getting that second starting position, the question then will be is if he does get that second starting position, how are fans outside of Philadelphia going to respond to him? I'm sure some will boo him, but you know what? I hope a lot of people cheer for him because he's showing he was sincere in his apology. He went through the counseling, was away from the team. He's showing that he wants to move on from this. So I'm glad for that, and I'm glad he's moving his focus back on where it should be right now, back to his team, back to getting better, but also back to being better as a person. That's really what's important for Riley Cooper here. So, Riley, you made a mistake. It was the wrong thing to say, the wrong thing to do, but I'm glad that you are approaching the recovery process in the right way. You are. Good luck to you, sir. Switching from a person who is doing the right things on the road to recovery, real quick to close this video, to a person who unfortunately is still doing apparently a lot of the wrong things. And again, that person is Johnny Manziel. We are hearing more and more unfortunate details about different things in him revolving off the field stuff. The new situation out there is the autograph scandal. Reportedly, a broker has come out and told ESPN. He's shown some videos to ESPN's Outside the Lines, to their investigative team, of Johnny Manziel reportedly signing autographs for cha-ching profit. Now, there was kind of a debate on the figures of that exchange. When the report first came out, it said it was a 5-figure amount, $75,000, and I'm just like, whoa, $75,000 to a college kid just for autographs? Are you kidding me? But then they explained about the amount of stuff that Manziel signed, and it's like, geez, I could not believe that. Now, they recently reduced that figure to $7,500, but still, it's a payment. It's a payment that players should not be receiving. That would, if the NCAA finds out this to be true, it would make him ineligible. It would jeopardize his amateur status, and it would make him ineligible. Do you know what that would mean for Texas A&M's upcoming season this year? Do you know what that would mean? I don't even know who Texas A&M's backup is. Nobody does. You know why? Because we all expected Johnny Manziel to come back from his Heisman campaign and be outstanding. But now he gets in all this off-the-field nonsense, this ridiculous goop, and it's just so disheartening is what it is. It's a black mark on him, on Texas A&M, on college football, and on the SEC. On the SEC, for gosh sake. What are you doing? I mean, seriously, look in the mirror. What are you doing? What are you doing with yourself? I cannot fathom this. I cannot wrap my head around what this young man was thinking when doing all of this stuff. This goes back to what I said in the last video. Does he even really care about football, about his status at Texas A&M, his eligibility at Texas A&M, which is now coming into question because of all this, and we're also even hearing that the NCAA, on the NCAA's website, there was something found that there was a jersey online that was being sold with Texas A&M jersey. You search for Manziel, #2, and a jersey comes up, but it doesn't have Manziel on the back of it. Oh no, it has that stupid egotistical nickname on the back of it. It has football on the back of it. Gee, I wonder who that could be referring to. That's not a coincidence, folks. I don't know what that is. But this is taking on, this has gone from, the original off-the-field stuff with the drinking and with that kind of thing, and the frat party at Austin and all of this, that was a tornado. Okay, that was just a tornado, whirlwind of stuff. Johnny was brushing that off. He came out and said, whatever, I'm going to just be who I am. This now, what's coming out, this is the hurricane, okay? This is the hurricane. This is destruction on so many levels to potentially his career, his life, Texas A&M's football relevance, the SEC's reputation. Does he even care? I honestly don't think right now this kid, if I can call him a kid at 20 years old, even cares about anything besides himself. Really? Can I honestly say that right now? Yes! Because right now, he is acting like a selfish, arrogant person. No regard for others whatsoever. Oh, I'm going to rake in all this money by signing my name. Yeah, I'm going to get a big fat payday. Want new rims on my Mercedes Benz. Yeah, here we go. Johnny Manziel. Yeah, right there. Heisman winner, baby. Yeah, right there. Ooh, put that on eBay. Yeah. No regard. No regard outside of himself. No regard for his health. No regard for Texas A&M. No regard for football. No regard for the SEC. No regard for anybody outside his own mind. I am just flabbergasted. Every time ESPN posts another detail on supposedly what he's done, black mark number 6, number 7, number 8. The black marks are adding up here, Johnny. Da-na-na-na-na. You know, it's going to be, it's like, you know how Santa has his nice list and naughty list? Well, Johnny Manziel is just adding multiple copies of his name. It's like he's signing autographs on the naughty list. I mean, he's just adding his name continually to the naughty list. I mean, this is taking on a level of a hurricane. It is taking on a just sad level of circumstance. You know? So now the question becomes, is he even going to be allowed to see the field this season? Is the NCAA going to let this young man, who is full of himself and supposedly committing all this stuff, is the NCAA going to let him set foot on the field? At this point, this to me, when I reported the last story, when I shared my last thoughts on him a week ago, I said, hey, I still hope for good things from him. I still hope that maybe with all the good he does on the field, he can make all this go away. Again, with this now coming out, I cannot see him. No. I can't even fathom myself to watch Texas A&M football if he sets foot on the field. I can't do it. I cannot do it. I think the rankings should reflect this. I think Texas A&M should be dropped in the rankings because of this. This is a firestorm. This is a literal firestorm. Forget hurricane. Maybe this is a firestorm and a towering inferno that Johnny Manziel has created. He's created this own inferno of just complete and utter nonsense. And it's all about himself. I mean, no regard for anything else. Johnny Manziel is in his own little bubble. He's under the dome. CBS pun. He's literally under his own dome, and he says, hey, if you want to come in here, you got to take my side. You got to be on my side of things. You can't be like the media and all these people who are against me saying I can't live my life, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't get paid. You got to be on my side. You're either with me or you're against me. That's what Johnny Manziel is saying right now. You're either with me in my bubble or you're outside my bubble and you're not coming in. That's basically what he's saying right now. He has no care and no regard. Texas A&M football is outside his bubble. The reputation of the SEC in Texas A&M is outside his bubble. His parents' concern for him is outside his bubble. That's what he's presenting right now to us for all these things that are coming out. And you know who we haven't heard a word from on all of this? Johnny Manziel. He hasn't spoken a single word. We haven't heard his take on this autograph stuff. He has refused to say a single word. Why? What? Are you trying to, and we heard also, we heard more details, you know what, besides the photo evidence and the amount of what's in it, we also heard that he said to this alleged broker, he said, oh, by the way, no, I didn't take money from anybody. I didn't do this for you. And if you tell anybody, you're going to be in big trouble. Oh, really? Well, things get out. People turn on you if you say that, Johnny. If you make threats to people because of something that you did, they turn on you, period. End of statement. Those people then feel intimidated by you. Those people then feel scared for their lives. Those people have concern for what you say. And you know what? Now it's going to come out on you. You're either with them or you're against them. No concern for anything outside the world of Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel has now created this own world, Manziel land, let's call it. He's created this own little world of his. You know, oh, I have a Heisman now. My head is swelled to 5 times normal size. You know, and you take my side of things, or hi from inside of here. Hey, you're outside the bubble. Hi, mom and dad. Yeah, I don't care about my health. Hi, Texas A&M. I don't care about our number 7 preseason ranking. Hi, NCAA. I don't care what I get for money. Is that not what he's portraying? Say something. Please clarify all this. Say something so we don't have to keep saying he's only concerned with himself. Say something. You know, come out and tell ESPN something. Go on outside the lines, for gosh sake. They're the reporting team that the broker presenting the stuff to is finding all this stuff out. Go on outside the lines and say something. Say, that I didn't do this. Say that this was just a mistake. Say something. Otherwise, the proof is going to be in the pudding. And you know what? You're going to drown in that pudding. And you know what? You're going to take everybody else down with you. You're going to take Texas A&M down with you. You're going to take the NCAA down with you. And they're going to throw a knockout punch on you. You're going to take your parents down with you. You're going to take the reputation of the SEC down with you. People will then, who don't even know the SEC, will look at this and say, oh, this is what the SEC is all about? Money-grabbing kids who want fame and publicity and all this and don't care about anybody else outside the program? Is that what the SEC is all about? No! The SEC is a strong conference. It is the strongest conference in college football. For gosh sakes, how many national titles have they won the past few seasons, especially with Alabama winning title after title year after year? Many! They are the premier conference in college football. And what does this do? Black marks, negative lights, negative, all this negativity. It's like the SEC had a nice, clean, metal thing with all these accomplishments on it, and here comes Johnny Manziel. I got a red pen in my hand, hey! Zzz. It's horrible. It's horrible is what it is. And I know some of you are going to say, why are you getting so upset over this? There's a reason to. This is our defending Heisman winner. This is a guy that won the Heisman Trophy as a freshman. And now all this is happening to him. His world is literally falling apart. He built himself up and built it up. What does it say? Pride goeth before a fall. And look what is happening, Johnny. You're falling. You're falling down, son. And you know what? If you can't turn this around, if you can't get your life together, if you honestly can't come out of this like Riley Cooper did and be a better person, God help you. Literally, I'm saying that to you. I'm making a plea to you right now. God help you. Because it's clear, even at Media Day, at the arrogance that you showed yourself to the media, to everybody. God help you. Because you right now are showing yourself as having no regard for anyone else but yourself. That's it. I honestly, I don't know if I can do another rant on Johnny Manziel. Because at this point, everything that's going to come out in the media is probably going to be negative. Every day, every week, we're going to hear another story. We're going to hear another part of the investigation. We're going to hear something going on. And I would not be shocked. I would honestly not be shocked that by the time, I don't know if the NCAA investigation will be allowed to be quick enough to affect Manziel before this season starts. But certainly, if he's ruled ineligible before this season, I mean, that immediately shows the NCAA is laying the hammer down, period. They're saying the arrogance has got to stop, the selfishness has got to stop, all the stuff going against the grain has got to stop, you've got to grow up. So if they lay the hammer down before this season, that's a huge, big move by the NCAA, but one that I would definitely commend. I will be shocked if Johnny Manziel steps on a football field this season, period. I will honestly be shocked. And if he does, I am rooting for every team that plays Texas A&M this season because it is stupid for him to do what he has done to people and teams and his school around him. It's awful. It's just completely and utterly a firestorm, hurricane, inferno of nonsense. And I know I just used some crazy sentence wording there, but that's what it is. That's what's up. That's what it is. So, is there any way to fix this at this point? Is there any way Well, the first thing is just to say something. Don't hide. Don't hide behind the sheet, because you can't hide from anyone at this point, Johnny. You screwed up. You did the stuff. There's evidence on you on all sides. The proof is in the pudding. You're drowning in it right now. I honestly don't know if there's any way that this could be fixed. If the NCAA lays the hammer down and makes him ineligible this season, good. Texas A&M can deal. Yeah, their season will be affected by it, but you know what? He won't care. He'll be sitting at home, probably just thinking about what he can do next, the money he'll make next somewhere, or what else can I do during this off season, or what party can I crash next? He won't care. Not the way he's portraying himself right now. So he just needs to get things in order. He needs, the NCAA's got to make a big, swift decision on this. If they don't do it this year, then at least make him ineligible for 2014, if this is all found to be true. Now, granted, we don't know if this is actually true yet, but the evidence certainly is showing, the evidence is mounting against the guy. So, it's, I don't know. So that's my thoughts for the stuff this week on the injuries and all this stuff. And I always hate to end it with that rant, but what else can I say? What else can I say to what I've already said? The guy is in deep trouble. He's literally digging himself a hole that, quite frankly, I don't know at this point if he can get out of. That hole is very deep. That hole is quickly filling up with water, and water and fire and wind. And if he doesn't find a way out soon, he will be completely drowned in it. That's all I got to say. Thank you again for your support, guys. Again, if you have any comments or questions for me on anything I talk about, whether it be fantasy players, the Riley Cooper situation, definitely the Manziel situation, I'll take thoughts on. Leave your comments and questions below. Have a great week, guys. Keep tabs on our fantasy things. Again, if I'll post any follow-up videos, I'll definitely let you guys know. And God bless you all. God bless Johnny Manziel. God help him. Help him get his life together. Please help him find a way. Help him, please. Thank you guys so much. Take care.